Welcome everyone, iOS 12 Beta 2 is finally here for developers just a couple weeks after the initial release. This is Andrew here for AppleInsider, and we're going to find out everything that is new in Beta 2. Digging into the settings application, the battery stats that debuted with iOS 12 have been really redesigned. They look pretty different to how they originally looked, a lot more in-depth and a lot more detail going into these. So you can see it looks like a pretty big redesign. Check out our original video to see how they looked when they officially launched, but they're a little bit different now. You can kind of scrub through by tapping on different sections with your fingers, highlights the different bars on the section below, and which apps were used inside of that time frame. In iOS 12, Home got a few different updates, notably going to be including remote control support, which can be really great for Apple TV users, but we saw a few different changes in the Home app, and a couple of those got a little tweaked. Looking into the Home by clicking on that top icon in the top left-hand corner, we have these three sections. These have been tweaked quite a bit. For instance, this used to say just locks, and now it is doors and locks and has a new icon. Blinds and windows used to have an icon of blinds there on the top, and the camera section has been removed completely. Screen time, if you used it in the original beta, has been disabled in beta 2 and needs to be re-enabled, and anything that was set up has to be reconfigured again. There's also a nice little splash screen that welcomes you to screen time, and there's a separate option for setting it up as a parent and will guide them through the different restrictions and downtime stuff they can set for kids. Overall, screen time seems to have gotten a minor refresh and design change since the original beta. There's a few small tweaks that makes it a little bit easier to work with family sharing in multiple devices. For instance, you can see we're looking at all devices and it's showing me stats of stuff that I've done over on my iPad. And then I can filter down on the top right hand corner from devices to just my iPhone or just my iPad. Tapping on an app icon here will give you a bunch of different information on it, including stuff about the developer and other information that it didn't show in the original beta. The interface for adding time limits to apps from the main screen time screen has also been slightly tweaked. Beefed up Siri suggestions has come in iOS 12, and now there's an option to turn them off for individual apps. When you're looking at Spotlight, it can actually prompt different apps for you to jump into really quick, ones that things you need to look at. Well, now you can actually go in and turn off those Siri suggestions so it won't suggest those apps for you. There's a new modal when you're going in to enter your iCloud keychain username and password. Looks a little bit different here as I try to block out my username for you. And then when you're scanning your face with Face ID, there's a new little modal that says scanning with Face ID. Just a slight tweak from what it said before. We have a new location icon, a little bit more rounded, a little more cute looking than it was in the past. Inside of Spotlight, you can see there's little arrows now to the right of any of these app suggestions that they're prompting you for. On the iPad, Control Center was moved to that top right-hand corner, and now on the lock screen, there's a little handle icon to let you know to grab there to pull it down. Of course, once you log into your iPad or you get past the lock screen, that little handlebar will disappear, but it does show up on the lock screen, just gives you a little bit of a visual representation of where to pull down to access Control Center now that it's been removed from the app switcher. We have a slightly different interface for the SIM unlock screen. Even though this seems like it could easily be done in a modal, it is a full screen interface, just allows you to enter the digits to unlock your SIM card. Moving into the App Store, we saw very few changes to the App Store, but one new one in Beta 2 is when you're doing a search, the search results text is a little bit smaller than it was in the past. You can see when there's a bigger list or a smaller list, looking up AppleInsider, it's definitely smaller than it was in previous iterations. While App Store text is getting smaller, some in the Photos app are getting larger. You can see under albums, different media types, and album names are definitely larger than they were in the past. Face ID animations on the iPhone X are definitely improved. There's a huge difference when you're unlocking your phone with Face ID. Just the animations have all been sped up, make getting it in there a lot quicker. Even when you have to rescan, I'm going to try to fail here on the first time, and then as soon as I move my face right in front, it almost instantly unlocks and is able to get me into my phone. Definitely a quicker experience than before. In the redesigned News app, going over to the Browse tab, we now have a Spotlight option right at the top. Spotlight pretty much takes you to what's in the middle tab, but they do have an option inside of that Browse tab now, so a little bit different. Again, on the iPad, you can see the time in the top left-hand corner. Now in Beta 2, the AM or PM designation will append the time, so 3:28 p.m. instead of just being completely blank. If you're using AirPlay, the icon now lights up on the widget on the home screen. Lots of animations have been slightly reworked and are overall a lot smoother. If you're looking at things inside of the Spotlight suggestions, they pop up really nicely, and even ones there on the lock screen, they just have a really nice smoothness and the animation to them, a lot better than they were in Beta 1. Carrier information was kind of removed for a lot of people in the first beta, and now that is here inside of the cellular section of the settings app. iOS 12 is bringing a whole new redesign, the first redesign in a long time, to the Voice Memos app. And now when you launch it, it'll give you a nice little animated and launch screen letting you know some of the new features that are coming along in the new one, including the redesign, iCloud, and more device support. We still don't have the standalone Shortcuts app where you can create your own Siri shortcuts, but it still is in settings. And if you have not set this up yet, there'll be a nice little launch screen, little welcome screen, letting you know what's going on. If you're using an iPhone app on an iPad, which some people still do, Instagram, we're looking at you, they're now using iPhone 6 version instead of the iPhone 4 version, so it just does a better job of filling up the display. Chapter support was added to the podcast app in iOS 12, and if you're playing back a podcast that has chapters, there'll be a now playing icon on the current chapter. And if you head over to the Watch app, while you can still search for the phrase time travel, when you actually go to that section of the Watch app, it's been removed. So you can no longer adjust your time forward and backward to your preferences, at least over here on the iPhone. Now, this is a non-exhaustive list of everything that's changed inside of iOS 12 Beta 2. Make sure you guys dig around yourselves, and if you find anything else, let us and everyone else know down below in the comments. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, like it and hit that subscribe button. Also, check out our price guide, which makes it extremely easy to find the best deals on Apple products updated daily. Be sure to follow us on social media, and we'll see you in the next video.